And good afternoon, happy Friday, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. So glad you can join me. This is John, aka Latherhog, and you are watching another live stream. We've been doing this for a few weeks. So much fun bringing friends in the wetshaving community to chat with all sorts of nonsense. Today, you can look to my right. Yeah, my right. It's my guest, friend of the channel. You can find him on Instagram, the Thursday Badger, also his website. I have that info right here. Shabam! Please welcome Jared to the show. And I said that just as he took a drink of water. Sorry. Jared, welcome to the show.
Hey, John. Nice to connect again.
Yes. That's right. Again, because you and Bilu were so kind to help me test the software. I would still say we're kind of in the beta of this, Jared, and I know that you can kind of roll with the punches. I'm broadcasting from somewhere different today. This is my office, and I'm slightly worried for connectivity issues, just to be upfront with the audience at home. If there's some delay that happens, that's probably why, and we'll see if this is something I can continue to do, or I should go back to my dining room, which is a nice place to record. I mean, we keep things, or I hide things away pretty neatly there.
Well, as a technology guy, I feel like I just need to come for a visit and get your Wi-Fi and your network sorted.
That's true. That's what you do. And guys, I do have to thank Jared. He does a lot of things behind the scenes for me. There's a website which we don't do a whole lot with, but still it houses all the stuff for Latherhog, all the stuff for Lather Talk. And Jared's done this for multiple years now. So Jared, just want to give you your props and thank you so much, because you just volunteer that service and do it out of the kindness of your heart. So you rock.
Happy to do it.
Let's look over the chat. I know there's folks there. People are probably still popping on. Paul T, David Austin, Mr. Nate, my guest from last week from BBS Live. Hello. Glad you guys could join. If you are watching, please say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. I never know. Or Jared, do you have a better icebreaker question that people can kind of like quickly type in?
What are you drinking this morning?
What are you drinking this morning?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what are you drinking this morning? And I know even if you're watching the replay, you can type, you can share that in the comments. But folks who are here live, say hello and let us know, what are you drinking this morning? I've had like 2.5 cups of coffee already, so I switched to water for the show.
Yeah, I went to the liquor cabinet. I was going to get an Irish whiskey or something, but I didn't have any left. So.
Oh, you should go get some.
Yeah.
It's earlier, right? You're 2 hours behind.
It's 11 a.m. where I am right now.
Okay.
So
it's 1 p.m. where I am here on the East Coast of the United States. I'm just outside Boston. For those who might not know, sometimes people they think I'm on the West Coast. I don't know where that comes from. Because certain personality traits get associated with regions, right? So maybe something about me says West Coast. I don't know. Is it what's the Canadian equivalent? Like, is there this similar thing between East and West and that region in the middle?
Yeah, it's kind of like Toronto and everything else when it comes to Canada. So
really, it's that different.
If you ask anyone from Toronto, that's for sure.
Oh my!
Yeah,
okay.
we're considered west, but it's kind of like west of Toronto, east of Toronto, I guess is how it's kind of most people consider it. People think of us on the West Coast, but we're not even close to the West Coast. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
We're kind of straight above like Montana if I was to go straight south.
Okay. That actually is helpful. I always thought of, as far while we're on the topic of the country of Canada, Vancouver, I thought would be a major metropolitan area, or not as big as I think it is. I haven't had the pleasure to visit, unfortunately.
Yeah, Vancouver's one of the bigger cities in Canada. Okay. I've never been. I've been on, in BC, and I've been farther west than that, but I've never been to Vancouver itself. Driven by it on the way to the island. I've gone out to Victoria and stuff. And in fact, we're going out there this summer for a visit. So.
Oh, excellent. That sounds
Yeah.
good. Let me just
Yeah.
question. This is just for people who stop in later. Audience, what are you drinking this morning? That's so. Jared, I think is that fan that we were talking about before going on? Is that on? Because I'm hearing that sound again.
No, I got nothing on in my office now. Just the computer.
All right, that's why we're still testing stuff.
Is anyone else
Okay.
picking up the buzz? That's
It's
a good.
actually
Here's a
just
nice, very good question. How do we look and how do we sound?
yeah. Can you hear us and can you see us? I mean, the fact that we're able to have a video call, I'm thinking means they're seeing all this. I think so. There's also a little bit of a delay too between the chat and us. But let's see. We have a few things we wanted to get to today. And I think the first thing, let's go with something event based. And also feel free, audience, to go ahead and drop in what you're drinking this morning. But I'm going to put that down. We want to talk about the Maggards Meetup. And for those who don't know, there are wet shaving meetups, and Maggard's Razors, a large online uh, retailer of wet shaving goods, has a meetup, and this is the first one since the pandemic. So I know a lot of folks are excited to go. We're talking about it because Jared and your wife, or just you?
Just me, yeah.
Okay.
She wasn't super excited about going and chatting with a bunch of people about shaving stuff. She's
I
supportive, but she's not super into the hobby, which is more than fine. She pushed me to go though. She said, "You should go to that. That sounds like it'd be fun." So
I have a very similar story. I was on the fence, and my wife, who's not going either, is very supportive of my hobbies and the channel and all that stuff. So she also kind of gave me the final like, go, just like you will regret it if you don't go. And I was like, that's true.
yeah,
So uh, off the top, I should have checked beforehand. What is the date of the Maggard's Meetup? You happen to
uh,
know? I'll go look.
June,
Okay. If not, I'm gonna look right now.
the
First
first weekend.
weekend in June. Yeah, okay.
I feel like June 3rd. I'm gonna go with June 3rd.
You're gonna go. I feel like June 3rd. It is. Jared is correct. It's June 3rd. You do need to buy a ticket for those who might be in the Michigan area. It is in. I've actually never visited the state of Michigan, so this is my first time in the state, and first time at Maggard Meetup. I was supposed to go, by the way, that one that canceled the year that the pandemic had kicked off. So I had made plans to go, bought tickets, got the hotel and all that stuff. So this is I'm pretty excited. Now that is happening, I'm pretty excited to go. How about you, Jared? Like what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I haven't done a meetup like of this scale before. Typically when I travel now, it's kind of my thing that if I know I'm going to a center where I know there's some wet shavers, I've like put a call out on like our Canadian group and say, hey, I'm going to be in Calgary for a few days. You guys want to get together and have a drink and chat shave stuff? And so I generally there's like 5-6 guys and you have awesome time, but it's a very small group. And so this is gonna be a chance to meet a few more artisans and things like that. So I'm excited. My last kind of little mini meetup was in Edmonton, and that's kind of where I've met Ben from Canadian Mafia. First time I met him in person. I met Chris from Carve. I met Sean from McDuff's, and so that was pretty sweet. And so now I'm looking forward to meeting even more artisans and YouTubers and all that fun stuff. So
For sure. Yeah, there's a bunch of people within the community and artists and vendors and yourself we've never met in person. So definitely looking forward to that, sharing a drink, maybe sharing a meal together, having some good laughs. Quick check-in with the chat because they are helping us here. Paul T does mention there's some long freeze ups so far. So that would kind of explain maybe some like further delay in the chat response. But yeah, so I brought up this while Jared was sharing. I did bring up on Maggard, Maggard's Razors here, $34 USD for a ticket for general admission. There's usually like, if memory serves me correct, there's usually like swag bags, so you're not going to leave empty-handed. I mean, you probably buy stuff too, of course, but I think there's gonna be a swag bag. There might be a PIF table. Pay it forward is PIF. Basically, it's a way for wet shavers to move on other goods with sometimes really real hard to find items, hardware, software. You can drop stuff off and pick stuff up. So that can be exciting.
I'm flying with carry-on only, so I'm kind of limited to what I can bring back. Although we're flying to Toronto and then driving to down from there, and so I do have the option. If I do find some stuff I really want to bring back that I can't fit in my luggage, I'll just bring it back and I'll have one of the Toronto guys pack it and mail it for me, and then I'll just pay them for that. It's still cheaper than paying for luggage on the flight. So.
Okay, and I think they've done it in the past too, where you can ship things like that you purchase there. Although I know for you and other Canadians that mailing it back, it depends how much you get, right, and what you got exactly.
Yeah. And as one of the other topics we're gonna talk about, how much stuff we're keeping in our shave den and what keeps us on par.
Oh God, yes, it's all related. It's all related. Oh my gosh. Honestly,
I'll probably buy like one or two things. I'm hoping there's like t-shirt or something like that, as something to remember the event by. But I'm more going to just meet people, and I'm going there not as an artist in this trip. I'm going there as a hobbyist and get a chance to meet a bunch of people. So.
Gotcha. So you're not, and just in case people were wondering, you're not tabling or you're not having any product available at the meetup, right? No.
I'm going more to be a fanboy and meet the people that have the tables and a bunch of the other shavers. So that's more my jam. I'm not super in there to sell. I mean, we sell just enough stuff to essentially pay for my wife's pottery habit, and that's pretty much where we want to be. That's our zone.
Gotcha. And forgive me for not mentioning at the top of the show. Besides, Jared's photography and very thoughtful write-ups, he does sell things. And as he mentioned, his wife does pottery, ceramics, in general, right? And makes beautiful shave bowls, brush soakers. What else? I mean, I feel like in those two things you have various sizes and kind of offerings, right?
Yep. So we generally do, like, our biggest thing is our lather bowls. We've started to add soakers as well. We're on occasion we'll drop some some coffee mugs in because they kind of double as soakers, or people want a pottery, nice hand thrown pottery mug, something like that. So we'll throw those on. We've got some assorted things like t-shirts and stuff like that with our logo on. Things of that nature.
Oh, nice.
And 3D printing. I'm kind of a 3D printing nerd, so I've got just a few plans and stuff on there that's not, I mean, you can buy it, but it's more, here's what the plan is. You can download it yourself and print it for yourself and free of charge. So
yes, that's right. And definitely got some great designs for like, I forget what you called it, but it's like if you're taking photos, it holds the tub of soap upright.
Yeah.
Soap stand.
I call it a kickstand. So
kickstand, okay. And then
because of the way I've got my den set up, I'm kind of a label nerd. I really like the look of soaps and stuff. So I don't want to have everything stacked and hidden. So I've got them all propped up so I can see the front labels of all my soaps and stuff. So that's kind of my 3D printing stuff. Always kind of features around functional pieces. So I look for something that I need and I just kind of make something. So I've got a 3D printed straight razor stand something that if I wanted to have my straight razor standing up in a photo, it's just a simple little design, but does the trick. So things like that.
Got it. All right, I'm trying to multitask here, but what was I going to ask you? One other thing that I found really useful was a 3D printed straight razor stand, and I think offering like 3 different sizes. So between that and the kickstand, super awesome stuff. And again, like you mentioned, it's available just to download if you have access to a 3D printer. So all the more reason to check out Jared's website, thethirstybadger.ca. Is there the?
No, it's just Thirsty Badger.
Just no, that. I'm sorry. Just Thirsty Badger. Yeah, .ca.
Although now I may have to go buy it just so it is there.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Anything else? Let's say Maggard's Meetup. Oh, I guess I should mention too. I think there's folks who over on there's two discords, and maybe this is just a quick plug for it right now. There's the Ladder Talk Discord, which myself, Gerard, and our friend Arvin help moderate. Great place to go chat with other wet shavers, people who might be watching the channel, listen to the podcast. But also, I want to give a plug to the Canadian Mafia Discord. So, very different personalities in both groups, and from that, I think a little get together at the Razor Company might be happening as well. So, since a lot of people are flying there in town, so that's another kind of like piggybacking unofficial thing going on, which I'm looking forward to. Yeah. All right. So next topic. Well, you mentioned shave collections. Do you want to do the shave collection part, or do you want to talk about scent dupes?
Sure. We kind of segued into it, and I knew I saw on your Instagram that you were kind of paring down some stuff and kind of.
I did, yeah.
Kind of find a way to fit things in a little bit more. So I said, yeah, it's a good timely conversation.
So Jared, that just this morning, I don't check my video comments all the time, but I do try to check once a day and respond to any questions, or even just people saying like, great video. Like I really appreciate folks, and especially if you leave feedback. One comment to that, I made this short video just under a minute about paring down aftershaves in particular, but it's really all my software. And they're like, why do you have so many? That person might watch this too, but I'm like, I've been that was this morning. So I'm like, how do I answer that? Why do you? I was like, I'm, I guess, partially a hoarder, but I have lots of like collections of stuff. But as a hobbyist, I think that's kind of like it's not maybe I'm just like immune to it now because I see it so much. Like your collection wonderfully presented, and other people's. It's just like there's shelves behind me, and you can see a few of the collections: brushes, fragrances. Soaps are off in another like plastic drawer system on the side. But I don't know, shaving collections. How are you with your collection at this juncture right now?
I'm full.
Okay.
So my kind of philosophy on is it's my hobby, right? So I don't smoke. I'm not a big drinker. There's not a lot of other collectible type things I'm into. So this is kind of my thing that I really enjoy. So I have no problem justifying adding, a new soap collection. I don't have a problem with that. For me, it's more about the space. So I've got a nice setup for where I display and store everything. And so I can see everything in front of me. It shows off nice. But I'm at the point now that I don't have a lot of extra space in there.
Yeah.
And so
I feel that.
I'm kind of in that something comes in, something has to go out phase. So if I want to buy a new soap collection, I kind of look at, well, I'm going to sell one off or piff one or something like that. Find the ones that I'm not using that often that I kind of would like to put in the hands of someone that would get some more love out of it than I do. So that's kind of my rule right now. I break it every now and then. If I have like an artisan I really want to support, because I've met them in person and I really like them. So then I'm like, well, I'll find a spot for that one. But generally I'm kind of in that one comes in, one comes out phase.
I would say I'm in that same exact place, and I was probably already there without realizing it. Like just because in the back of my head, right? I think towards the end of 2022, I'm like, I really got to go through. I really got to make a dent, and knowing what's in your collection. I know we were joking with Nate last week, and Mel, who does the BBS Live with him, I think has like tons of unopened packages, and this. Sorry, Mel. This is not a public like shaming of you, but I don't think he's the only one in that kind of scenario where you don't even know what you have, whether it's like unopened stuff or you just out of sight, out of mind because it's in some other room or closet that you have. But I was like, even with a spreadsheet, because I kind of nerdy like that. I have spreadsheet. I know Bilu has a spreadsheet. I stopped updating it after a while because I think I got kind of overwhelmed with how much stuff was coming in.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I gotta first, let me update that list, and then from there, as well as just like going through and literally smelling tubs of soap, which is fun. Actually, I mean, for me, that's fun. That's how I part of why I have the problem in the first place. But that's how I had to start making cuts, right? Like whether it's like a redundancy or like for the soap makers, I really like. I want to keep at least one, but the ones I really like, I'll keep a handful. But I'm still trying to figure out what that magic number is, and it might be 5. Like honestly, I really like my favorite. Whatever, there's no limit. But like if it's the next tier down, 5. I don't know. You're making a face.
5 per artisan?
No, not per artisan, but max. Like
Oh, okay.
what? Yeah. So not like I'm not that I have even that many of each artisan that I quote unquote like, but no more than 5 if that were the case. Yeah, not not like each one has like yeah. It made more sense in my head.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, 5 per artisan's a good rule too, man.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh,
I mean, I would be breaking that rule in several artisans, but 5's a good number.
it's a start, and that's a thing where it has to be a gradual thing, and I won't make cuts willy-nilly. Like I'm sniffing it again, and sometimes I'll be like, there's a maybe pile. There's like, okay, maybe I should move this on. Yeah. We have some great questions here. One from David Austin asks, will you buy backups of your favorite products? For me, no. How about you?
Yeah, I have one backup that I bought out of my entire den, and the only reason I did is because my primary tub was getting close to low when I was doing an order that I just needed like one little thing to get to the free shipping threshold, so I added that one. And that particular soap, it's made by Highland Springs, and every time I kind of at a meetup, or that's like one of the first ones I give out as a sample, or when someone's starting, it's a good base that's like pretty easy to work with. So
Yeah,
I've just pulled the heck out of it that I have almost none left. I'm like, well, I really don't want to run out, so that's the only one I have a backup of. But I don't know. By the time I get to the end of a tub, which is I haven't gotten close to one yet.
me too.
I might not like it anymore. So. And scents are like that, right? Sometimes you'll be super into it, and then 6 months later, like, why did I like this scent? It's just not for me anymore. So, I can't get down with backups.
I would. The problem would be exponentially harder if I had to deal with backups. That being said, a backup I did have was of Bear Sternman Paganini's violin. That was one of my favorites of the year it came out. I've actually I had one backup just because I happened to pick up a set. They did a special run for our wet shaving on Reddit. I actually just sold that one off, so I still have my original soft heart version and a matching splash once it became part of the main or like a major release. So that's still one set of that one, and I used to have a backup. I'm like, kind of like you said, I like it, but like, I don't need a backup of it. The other backup I have is of House of Mammoth Voices, and that's because that's a project that Ben from Mammoth worked on with us. I want a backup of that because we worked together, we collaborated. That I'll give that an exception if it's like something that's coming out with like my name on it, right? I mean, like I don't think that's ridiculous to have a backup of that.
But
one backup.
If you use that one up, so you use that soap and splash up, I'm pretty sure you'd be able to get a remake small batch run of that if you ever needed to. I don't think that's going away. So you just have to make sure you treat your packaging and the labels fine.
That's I do take care of my stuff too on that note, but yeah, that's true. And I'm kind of this way with other what do you there's a word for it consumables. So like cologne, fragrance, right? Once you're out, people ask the same question: do you buy backups? And I don't. That one I don't. And I don't think I'll ever really need to. But part of it is like if something gets discontinued, right? If someone stops making it and an artisan closes up shop or whatnot, it's just like part of it. It's just like that was the time. There was a season, for that, and there are other things out there. There's other scents and fragrances out there. So
Yeah.
I'll move on. I might be a little sad, but I can move on. I don't know. Have you ever, has there been a scent that went bye-bye and you kind of were scrambling for
I
it?
have no. I mean, I've got one now that I'm there. I don't know if it's gonna be brought back. Is the Alvado Pacific Coast Kahuna? I really like the scent on it, and he went away, and I think he's back, but he might be going away again. So who really knows if it's going to be around again or not? But I just nurse it a little bit more than I do my other soaps, and it'll last longer than I'll be able to use it. So yeah, I'm down with that. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
And the other thing with backups, the bases change so much these days that like you can buy something and then buy a backup and then they re-release it with the new base and then you'll be like, I want the new base, right? So that's another thing we figure out.
Right, and that kind of depends on the artisans. Some artisans will update their bases more frequently than others. And kind of related, Heather from Zingari Man, how's it going, Heather? Asks, if you aren't using it routinely, why buy a backup? And that's a great point. Like if you're using it every day because you absolutely love it, go ahead and buy a backup. If you only have a handful of sets and you find an artisan soap that you like, okay, I'm not going to fault you for that. If you're if you're dealing with what me and Jared have, and Jared, do you know the number, by the way, of your collection? Approximately.
No.
All right. Well, that's our show.
It's definitely in the 3 digits, but not the 4 digits.
Ooh, okay. All right, fair enough. I'm between probably like 100 to I'm definitely over 100, and I'm trying to at least the first culling point is to try to hit 100. But I might be more around 125. I want to say that spreadsheet, if it's accurate. I have to update it for the things that I've piffed and sold. So that's a good problem. Yeah.
But I don't feel guilty or feel like I have a problem with the number. I'm happy. Like, it's more about space. I want to make sure that I can see it so then I can use it. Because if I ever got to the spot where I'm putting stuff in a drawer, then it's got to go because it won't get used and it'll be forgotten about. But if I can see it every morning when I get up to have my morning shave, I can browse everything and say, what am I in the mood for today? What haven't I highlighted in my blog that I want to kind of feature today or something like that? But I can always make a decision just by looking at what's there and make a call. So that's my point. If I start putting stuff in drawers, then it's time to pare it down.
Okay. I'm totally on board with that because my soaps are in a drawer and it's true. It's like, oh, I forgot I had this. And sure, it can be a happy surprise. But when you're trying to kind of rein things in, I should mention too, like, because you brought it up, Jared, everyone's number is gonna be different, and it's like, oh, if you have, because I know you have a nice space to display your stuff. Where I live, it's a quasi-urban area, so it's not huge. I mean, I'm lucky to have what I have, but I can't have like a 500 plus collection. And if you're one to match, most people who have these collections usually match with an aftershave or a balm too. That's just a lot of stuff. So one thing that in my organization video is I can at least see the aftershaves, which usually has a partner of a soap, right? So seeing them, like if it goes beyond the 2 cubes in the shelf, that's my cutoff point. Like I can't have more than what I can fit in there. And hopefully even like it can go down to 1.5 shelves. Really, like that's my like stretch goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Collecting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of just like find a logical way that kind of sets yourself a limit, because that's the other piece is you don't want to be like just going and not have that kind of rein it in. So if it means setting yourself a monthly budget, or if it means setting a amount of space or setting a number, something that, because I know you can definitely get into that point in the hobby where you just want to buy. Yeah. Especially when you first start out, everybody kind of goes through that rapid acquisition phase where they just want to add more stuff because there's so many good things and so many.
You want to try it all.
Right. So some, like, depending on your personality, some people more than others even need like here's my cap, here's the where I can go. And so it's a matter of just find something like that. You don't need everything. If you want to try something and you don't have it, the hobby's big enough that someone will always hook you up with a sample or whatever. And that's where these meetups are great. Is it if there's something you want to try, someone will be able to hook you up.
Or in this case, you can smell the product. You don't have to blind buy. If we're talking software here, mostly today, you can actually smell the thing. Because I know it's it's always a bummer when you're really excited about something, whether it's the story behind the soap or the description, and it doesn't quite match up. Or it's different if it doesn't meet your expectations. That's where the topic of hype comes in. But if it's just like it's not the one for you, it's always a little sad. I want to share this one. So
you're like the king of the segues, because this is like the perfect segue into why I like dupe sets.
Oh, okay. We'll hit that in just a sec. I did want to share this comment from Hilo Haas. He said, I told my wife I had less than 100 soaps as a lead-in to tell her a fellow wet shaver had 500. Her response was, wait, how many do you have? I guess under 100 is not a reasonable number of normal folk. Spouses, significant others, when it comes to this kind of stuff, it's like how many times do you shave a week or a day? Usually just once a day, if that. It's not. I just shaved this morning because we were going to be live, but otherwise I've been kind of only down to one shave a week. Kind of weird. That's the pattern right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I've got a super supportive wife that she's like, if you want it, go get it. Like, as far as vices go,
it could be worse.
Really, I'm buying soap, so like it's soap. It's a cleaning like it's as far as things go for vices. It's you're buying soap and you're buying aftershave, and the end result is you smell really nice. So yeah, I don't get any qualms from her. She's super supportive on that front. So
that's awesome. I know we know guys who have to send packages to work or dash home before the mailman comes. It's like no, nothing here, nothing to see, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So as you mentioned, that I think that teases up for the other topic we want to hit today. It's great. Thanks for discussing shave collections. I think that's because the desire is to just have chats with other wet shaving hobbyists, and that's an issue we all deal with. Again, we're not telling you how to spend your money, right? That's not what this is about. But like to go from it's always good to not go out of control and financial ruin. But towing that line.
Yeah, you can never make the argument that shaving soap is an investment. Like it's not.
Oh God, have you ever heard anyone that tried to argue for that?
No. Well, I've heard people mention it in kind of passing. He's like, oh yeah, like, no, you're not going to get your money back out of anything in wet shaving.
Yes.
Well, I shouldn't say that. Like one in 1,000 different things you're going to get your money back out of. You're not going to get it on most things.
We can limit that because we're talking about software. I think for sure, don't invest in shaving software. That's when you've drank the Kool-Aid, perhaps.
Yeah.
I want to bring up the page. So yeah, the other big topic, and what allowed me to use that fun Spider-Man meme. Spidey's pointing at each other is fragrance dupes, and I'm gonna bring it up on the screen here. Just 1 second. Oh, okay. I guess I have two. Whoops. So we're going back to Jared's Thirsty Badger website. Guys, you should bookmark this. I'll be sure to put this down, in the description later on, but for the chat, I'll paste it right here. Go ahead, bookmark this page and thank me later, because what will happen, what this page offers is you buying a scent you really like and not buying it again by accident from another artisan, so that you don't have a double. I mean, if you do it intentionally, that's fine. If you want all the soaps that smell like Creed Green Irish Tweed, that's also a way to use this list. You can scroll down and you see, Jared, this is you, right? And if people submit stuff, but otherwise you're adding things to this list.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't take credit for the idea. Someone had started. Well, there's a few of these lists floating around. There was one on Reddit for a while. There was one on one of the, might have been Badger and Blade or something like that. There's pieces of this kind of all over, but it wasn't an extensive list. It wasn't regularly updated. It had some conflicting things in it. And so I just wanted a spot I could kind of bring all that information together. So I stocked it with what I could find initially online. And then there, most of it is just me following like the different releases from the artisans. And when I see something that's popped up that the artisan says that this is a dupe, then I drop it on the list. There are some where I kind of find when it comes to dupes and artisans, there's kind of like 3 classifications it falls in. You'll have an artisan and they'll say, this is my homage to Aventus. And then it's really easy. You just put the soap and the artisan and the name.
Yeah.
There are others that will say, here's my soap that has these notes in it. And you take the notes and you put them into Google and you'll find out, oh, the notes are exactly the same as Creed Aventus. This is a Creed Aventus dupe.
And then
there's the third class that kind of drives me nuts is the artisans that will like change one note or leave a bunch of stuff out and they're like, it's an Aventus dupe, but you won't know it until you buy it or someone tells you. And so that's those ones really bother me. And I've been bit by those before where I bought a soap and like, oh, this is another Aventus. I have an Aventus. I didn't need this. And so those ones kind of frustrate me. And that was part of the reason for this list is I want to start putting a collection together. Here's what's there. And then you won't buy the same soap by mistake. You'll know that I've got an Aventus already. I want to buy something from this artisan, but I don't need to buy their Aventus scent. I'll buy something else.
Right. Yeah, and we use that example, and it might be beating a dead horse, but guys, I'm still scrolling, and I'm still having Creed Aventus. Oh, okay, Creed Aventus cologne. It's similar, but it's a little different. And here's Green Irish Tweed, also very popular. Actually, that's more than I thought there were. Holy cow! Green Irish Tweed. Good.
Yeah. Shave of the day today. A good St. Patrick's Day shave.
Yes, I was going to say it's a totally appropriate a St. Patrick's Day shave. So maybe a lot of folks are using that today.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I did want to dive a little deeper on one of the points you brought up, and that's when it's an undisclosed dupe. Over on the Discord, it's been called a ninja dupe because it's like sneaky. It's a sneaky dupe. And what do you think though? It's an artisan, because I know you can put in inspired but no affiliation with. I've seen like that kind of wording. But in my head, most of the times it's helpful to know if it's inspired by something. Like why do you think an artisan would choose, or go so far as to list the scent notes, but not go fully and list the inspiration?
Yeah, I think the artisans that list that are very clear, here's the scent notes, and it's a direct copy and paste from a Fragrantica or something like that. I think they're just a bit worried about throwing the name down, right? So I don't want Creed knocking on my door. I'm just gonna not put Creed in there and just not have that problem. So I think though, if they're really if they're making it very clear what all the notes are, I know some people will get upset saying those aren't notes, you're just using a fragrance oil, but that's not the point. They're trying to tell you what it smells like without telling you what it smells like.
Great point.
So I don't fault those. I get it. They don't want to have a Dolce & Gabbana or a Creed or at their door saying don't do that.
Okay.
The ones that where they leave out things, or they're talking about the essence of a scent without mentioning notes in a way that's like, well, you're just using somebody else's scent and making it look like you did it yourself, and it just doesn't sit right with me. If you're using somebody as a scent, I have no problems with that. Like I love scent dupes. I'm all for them. I've got lots of reasons why I like them. especially when I have no wet shaving stores out my back door. So I can't, everything I buy is a blind buy. So it's a way for me to try a scent before I have to buy it, is I can go down to Shoppers Drug Mart and I can smell a scent and say, oh yeah, I like this. I'm going to buy the scent from Shoppers, and then I'm going to buy the matching soap and splash. So
I see.
I can get down with that, but the ones that are like not real open about it, or they change one note to say, you know, instead of saying it's a birch, they'll say woody notes.
Oh, I
So
see.
those ones are like, yeah.
All right. Well, I was gonna, you know, I was gonna originally, as we're prepping for this week and what we want to chat about, I'm like, I was gonna say that fragrance dupes don't really kind of catch my attention anymore. But I think this actually, it's more, the more I think about it, it goes back to our previous, you know, topic of the shaving collection, and it's just like, I'd probably just rather get a decant of, if it's inspired by scent. I almost rather do that. It takes up less space, and it's just, you know, if I'm going for the fragrance, let me just go for the fragrance instead of like take up more space with an aftershave and a soap. So I think it's not so much that I'm disinterested by fragrance dupes. I'm just like, in light of the paring down kind of thing, I'm just kind of trying to do myself a favor and avoid turn a blind eye to them.
So I'm also a bit of a completionist. So
Okay.
when I buy, like I buy a soap, I buy the splash. Like, no doubt. If I buy a soap, I'm buying the matching splash. It just happens. And so I like being able to buy a fragrance that matches the soap and splash. And so if I know that there is, if I've got Green Irish Tweed in my fragrance collection, I'm excited that I can buy the soap and the splash, that I can use that morning before I put the fragrance on. So
I see. So like a trifecta, the trifecta scenario. Okay.
Yeah. Now,
Completionist.
I always find it a little weird when an artisan releases their own EDP that's a dupe of something else. It's like,
yes.
I'm not really gung ho for, but
That's an interesting scenario. And you know, I'll just use for example like Sterling, great, you know, budget friendly soaps and splashes, and they also provide EDTs, eau de toilettes. But I think I don't know, one thing people should keep in mind, and they hopefully they know this already, is just like longevity and like quality of the fragrance, like that all come into quality is a loaded word. I'll admit that, but I think it's a factor for sure. Those are a little strange sometimes, but at the same time, if it offers something that a customer likes at a reasonable price point, that's fine. I understand. Also, quick thank you, Shaving with Greg Tardif, a recent podcast guest. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Appreciate your support, buddy.
You can use that $2 to buy some subs.
Yeah, someone told me to get some samples. I think last time, and I haven't made an order yet. I don't know. I just got rid of a bunch of samples too, Jared, as part of my purge, and I think that's like, because I knew I was sending a PIF box, and I knew there were some newer wet shavers who just want to try everything. There, you know, we've already been in that phase. Like, please take all of these.
I don't keep samples anymore. I find samples lose their scent if you don't use them. So
yeah, that too.
I was starting to build up a little tiny collection of samples. I'm like, I'm not going to use these, and then they start to lose their scent. And so now I'm just, I don't take samples anymore. I'm like, I would just rather smell it off the tub, and then I know what it kind of likes, and then I can go buy it if I want it. And, I'm always appreciative. Wet shavers are always super excited to share with their stuff and offer them. But I feel like I'm at the point now that if I'm not going to use it, I don't want to take it. I don't think it's very respectful to just like, oh, I'll just add it to my pile of samples. So,
right. It's kind of hoarding at that point. Because we're talking about samples. So this is what the samples I still have. They all still have scent. And like you said, I'll check them because it'll lose scent in time. But this is kind of, this is a little bit of an archive. And so some of these I had tubs before, but I didn't want the whole tub. Or they are discontinued scents. Like one in particular, very unique, wonderful scent here. Can the camera pick it up? It's Katie's Bubbles Honey Noir. Wait, Honey Noir? Yeah, honey Noir. It's like it sounds. It's a dark honey scent. It's wonderful. I don't think Yeah, I've never owned a tub of it. I think that was like a Maggard sample, but I have a few of those from like, again, like artisans who aren't not, around anymore. This is what this baggie represents.
Yeah, my biggest advice to people that are into samples is use them. Like if you get them, use them.
Yes,
That's what they're for. Don't collect them. Don't put them in a pile, because when you get around to them, they're not going to be like they were coming out of the tub. They just won't. They just don't last as long. The packaging isn't the same. Like just if you get a sample, use it.
Have you used this one?
I used to have that one.
Focus.
Mickey Lee, one of the artisans that was sad to see go.
Yeah, for sure. Much love. Yeah, Reunion. I think has some vetiver, kind of a green, clean kind of vibe. That's a good one. Kraken was a good one too. That one's somewhat kind of like laundry detergent in some ways, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go over to the comments here. Hey Phil, what's going on? Phil Wetshave says, I'm very happy to have an EDP of Timmerman Red from Holy Cow at that price point instead of buying a $400 frag from Initio. Which one? I guess I could look at the spreadsheet. I was going to say, what's Timmerman Red?
It won't be on the spreadsheet because
you don't
that one I don't I've never smelled it, and the notes don't. If memory serves, those don't line up with that.
Oh,
is it on the list?
You have it's side effect.
Yeah, someone must have convinced me. Holy Caw is one of those that they don't mention when they're a dupe, and the notes don't always line up, and you kind of need to take a bit of a guess. And I struggle with those, like, personally, because if I don't get my nose on them, like I'm guessing what someone tells me, maybe. So it's hard to put those ones on the list at times, unless it's someone I really trust. And that's probably how this one ended up on there. Is
trust Phil's there,
there.
For sure.
Probably told me about it, and I said, sure, I'll put it on the list.
Yeah, so that's Phil making, just proving there are some expensive fragrances, and I do like that. There's other folks I know, like I've mentioned before, First Line Shave, even Strike Gold Shave. I like the scents that they choose because they're going for discontinued or scents that are not covered by any other artisan. I appreciate that as well, especially Initio perfumes are wonderful. I cannot afford them. That's Maison, MFK. Yeah.
I can't say I've used EDTs or EDPs from all the artisans, so I can't like make a universal statement. But the ones I've used are kind of, you can tell it's they have fragrance oil and they've added alcohol to it, and they spray it, and now it's a EDT. But it's not made in the same way that's like from a real fragrance house. And so a lot of those ones, I find they're found wanting for me. There's some that they get, like, instead of like a fragrance roll-on that you can use, those are always cut with a different oil as well, like a carrier oil. And if you use those to make a spray, they're going to be dialed down. They don't perform the same way. But you can actually buy like just a concentrated fragrance that you can't use directly on skin. If you're using those and making EDTs and EDPs, you'll get a better result. And so those are a little more, I can get down with those a little bit better, but it's hard to know, right? Unless you know the artisan really well. It's hard to tell. So there's so many good clones on the fragrance market that chances are you find like a really good clone that's not necessarily from a shaving specialist. That's their whole game is about making fragrances that smell as close to the original. And so those if I really want an expensive scent, like a Tom Ford something or other, and I want a clone, that's the road I'll go versus a shaving artisan.
Yeah, and kind of related to that, it's like if you want to pick up, let's say you go for the soap first because it was a cheaper way to try it. But if it's a dupe of a scent that's been around for a while, let's say like a Cool Water or Jacquard Noir, like things that have been around for decades, and still have their fan bases, it's often cheaper just to go to your local, like they call it rack stores, or basically it's a Ross, a TJ Maxx, Marshalls, like Shoppers for Canada, right? It's probably, or we have seen in some cases where it's cheaper to get it from the discounter than it is to
Mhm.
buy the artisan version of said fragrance. So keep that in mind too, especially if it's a established scent. The real thing might be cheaper than the artisan version,
Yeah.
or like Jared mentioned too, there are clones and dupes within the world of fragrance, which usually do the job better. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking like Armoff. If you see the brand Armoff, they have some great dupes of established scents. So they're like $40 and under, oftentimes.
Yeah.
I took away that. Shaving with Greg Tardif said the tub smell and lather smell are oftentimes very different, and I I couldn't agree more. A scent can really
Mhm.
open up. You get more depth upon lathering, even more so if you are one to get the aftershave, whether it's alcohol or just a toner. That's going to be the most well represented of whatever fragrance version they're using.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I find I don't know if I would say they smell different. I say they evolve, right? So I find when you use
Yeah.
this, like it'll smell one way, and then as you lather it, it starts to bring out other notes, and and it's very much like a fragrance journey, right? When you spray on you go buy a typical fragrance store, they have the opening, they have the mid, they have the base note, and you kind of the scent evolves as you wear it. And I find that's how fragrance works in soap for me, is it'll smell something, you're smelling a lot of the top, and then once you
Yes,
lather it up, you'll start to pull out all these other things that'll come out. So I don't know if I'd say it smells different. I would say it evolves.
for sure. Carlos Shave on Gents also mentions Latafa makes amazing dupes. Yes, I
Yeah.
own one or two from Latafa as well. And Phil asks, what do you guys think of solid colognes?
I'm personally
What?
not a fan. I haven't found they perform differently. They've got kind of a different purpose, right? So they're really good at like your own personal scent bubble.
Sure.
So you put them on, and it's very close to you. So if you want your intimate partner when with you, that kind of thing, but you're not going to walk in a room and have someone say, "Oh, that's an awesome fragrance." Like, it doesn't project like that. The other thing I've found with solid clones is they don't evolve. They're kind of linear. So what they are is what they're going to be from the moment you put them on until an hour later. They kind of stay that scent. Where if you're using like an EDT or an EDP, they have that opening. They evolve. So
More of a journey.
yeah, I've kind of shied away from the solid clones. Similar with the fragrance oils, I was into them when I first started because it was a nice, cheap way to try a fragrance. But
Sure.
now that I've like got a few more fragrances in my collection, like, yeah, it's different. It smells the same, but it doesn't smell the same.
It has, like you said, it has a specific use. And then after trying that medium, you understand some of the shortcomings from it. And I'm pretty much on board with everything Jared said. Solid clones aren't really for me. They're great. I think some people like that. They don't want something screaming out loud. They like to have to smell nice within their personal bubble, and I think that's totally fine. But they're not something that I'm actively seeking. I think there's a little bit of like a throwback nostalgia. There's something a little old school,
Mhm.
kitschiness to it. So I think that's why some people really like solid colognes. That's cool.
Yeah, it definitely has a use case. Like, and if
Yeah.
that's kind of what you're going for, awesome. It's a good way to try a fragrance for the first time. It's a good way to have a close scent to you. It's a good way to travel, right? If you don't want
Yes.
to carry an EDT or
Great point.
something in your luggage, you can carry a small solid cologne piece, and you're good with that. So there's a lot of use cases that, yeah, for sure. But for me, I just haven't had that many use cases for it.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, travel for sure. That way, I did have last summer. I brought a decan or something. It's towards the end. I was just trying to finish it up, but as I was putting it on, I think my hands were slippery or something, and it flew out and cracked on the tile. And that was Virgin Island Water by Creed. So I was like, oh no, it's that one I had an interesting time because I go through the decants pretty slowly, but I went from really liking it to like, oh, I think it's kind of feminine. I don't know if I'll use it, to like loving it again in the summer until it died. The decant died. Are you a fan of that scent?
Silver Mountain Water, it's okay.
Oh,
I was really
Virgin Island, not
over
Silver. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it, but it's not something that I just this is a great occasion for me to wear this one. I just don't have a lot of occasions that I'd wear it, and so I've had justified buying it.
Yeah, that makes sense. The coconut note though, definitely like it's beachy and summery,
Mhm.
which was my use for it. It's like this is great. It's complimentary to like what I'm doing.
Yeah, and so coconut is one of those notes that
Yeah,
it really stands out. And so if
yeah.
you have a coconut forward scent in your collection already, they start to smell pretty redundant real fast. So those beachy scents, if you have one in your collection, you're
Yeah,
probably good.
you're right, right. Absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
It's funny that do you feel the same about citrus? Because I was like I'm a bit of a citrus fiend, so like, and there's different ones like grapefruit, lemon, orange. I appreciate each one has a little slightly different flavor to it. Or do you, or for you, citrus scents, is it like one like you just need one to cover it and then you're good?
No, I've got a bunch, but that's partially because they all pop up front and then they change real fast, right? So I find that they may smell very similar off the top, but then as you wear them within an hour, you definitely smell the differences. So
Okay.
um, any of the fragrances on that front, I find that there's enough difference between them after the first 15 minutes that I'm in. So although I'm not a huge citrus guy,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I can gravitate to one scent area or another, but I definitely have less of those types of scents.
Mm. Do you, is there a note or like a family, a sense that you kind of gravitate towards? There it might not be, but sometimes like you do start noticing in your collection, like, oh, that one, like sandalwood, is
Yeah,
a common note, or something like that.
I I can tell you there's notes I don't like, and so
Okay.
like mints, I tend to stay away from mint notes because as soon as I find a soap or a splash or a fragrance that has mint in it, that's all I smell. So I kind of stay away from them. I'm not a neroli fan, so if neroli is one of the notes in there, it's like
That's polarizing. I didn't realize how polarizing that note is
yeah.
to some
So
guys.
if there's a neroli forward scent, yeah, that's not going to be for me. So, but I kind of go in waves. Like I was big on tobacco scents for a while, and now I don't reach for my tobaccos as much. And right now, I'm probably a little bit more on the oud front. So
Oh,
some of those types of scents, like oud wood and royal oud, and what's the oud for greatness. So those have kind of been what I'm wearing right now. But in a month from now, there's no chance I'm wearing those. So.
yeah, right. So you do go uh, by season,
Usually, like
roughly.
I'm not a hard and fast rule of I'm not going to use this in the summer, but because our summer we still have enough cool days, and in our winter we every now and then have a warm day. So I
Yeah.
don't put anything away per se, but I'm
Okay.
definitely less inclined to use some of those heavier scents when the weather's warm, or I have an occasion where I'm outside, or if I'm in a room with a bunch of people, I'm going to pull one scent over another. That's for sure. So.
Gotcha.
I have some workhorse scents. I guess I'd put it that way. There's some scents that are
Sure.
just I'm going to use this all year round, and I can use this for pretty much any occasion, and it's safe. So like Dolce and Gabbana Light Blue O Intense is probably one of my favorite like workhorse scents.
Okay.
Use that
Okay.
one.
Nice. Yeah.
It's
I
funny,
mean,
we talk about top 5 scents, and I just kind of went through. Well, here's the ones that are my workhorse scents that I use quite
yeah.
often, and maybe the 5 I'd rebuy when we were talking about that the other day.
Yeah, I've heard them called like everyone has their dumb reach sense. So it's like if you do have like whether you have 2 bottles to like 20 bottles, sometimes like you don't know what you want to wear, and having those those workhorse scents, the dumb reach sense, definitely I think makes one less decision. What makes one decision easier in the morning when you're getting ready. So,
Yeah.
uh,
And I have scents like that, and then I have like soaps and aftershaves that are like my dumb reach
workhorse.
kind of
Yeah.
like I know I'm going to work today, so I'm going into the office, so this one's a safe one for me to use. So what's the Katie's Bubbles one that they did that's kind of a citrus forward? They did it for a meetup or something.
Oh,
Is
retreat.
it Retreat? Yeah.
Retreat. Yeah, citrus
That's
and
one of those.
sandalwood. That's a great one.
Yeah, I use that one quite a bit because it's a great workout scent. It will go with
Versatile.
any fragrance. You know, you
Yes.
give it a half hour and you can pretty much pair it with anything you got in your collection. So that's one
Yeah.
of them. There's a Highland Springs. Well, it's a stone-based one that I use quite a bit. It's another one of those that kind of goes with anything
Okay.
workhorse.
I was trying to think of the scent. It escapes me. That's okay. Uh, I did just want to mention, so we are into the hour, so I do want to kind of wind things down. So, um, any, we just talked about controlling our shaving collections, but despite that, is there any releases or anything, anything you're looking forward to picking up in the next few months?
I'm not sure that I was really excited about a couple of the recent McDuff releases. So I just picked up their new rose kind of wild rose scent.
Oh, okay.
And they had a re-release. What was it? There was definitely two that was McDuff's recent releases that I was excited about. So I was lucky enough to grab those.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything on the near horizon that I'm kind of excited about that I've heard about that I've got to pick up. I'm more excited just about getting to that meetup and getting
Sure. So whatever you might come across in June at the meetup.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's kind of high. And then that titanium carve razor when he releases it.
Yes, everyone should. If anyone, it's a bit of an ongoing joke, but if you do want to see a titanium razor from Carve, let Chris know. Let him know. He won't be
So
annoyed by it at all.
yeah,
In the
Chris
least.
is I'm traveling with Chris for the meetup. I'm meeting
Oh, you
him in
are.
Toronto.
Oh, okay.
He's part of that group, so I fully expect to lean on him the entire trip about that.
Oh my. That. I'm sure he'll be so excited to hear that.
Yeah. If he gets tired of it, we'll just switch the topic to him making an injector razor, and then he'll be fine.
You should have the wish. Just go through the wish list all through
Yeah.
all through the ride. I look forward to hearing how that goes over.
Yeah.
Well, Jared, thank you so much for joining me today for this lunchtime live stream. I still don't have a name for it, but either way, it's been so much fun to talk about the shaving collections, the upcoming meetup, and I still have it up here. Fragrance dupes. There's other, this is a topic that we can definitely revisit at another point. And for the heads up for the audience, hoping to do a roundtable sometime soon within the next month, and kind of just push the software a little bit and see if we can have a good group discussion. It might be on budget software or budget gear. It might be on the fragrance dupes. Like revisit these topics that have a lot of different kind of subtopics to it. That being said, don't forget to check out Jared's website, www.thirstybadger.ca. You can also find him over on Instagram at thirstybadgerca. Jared, I hope you have a lovely Friday and a lovely weekend.
You as well. I look forward to connecting with you in person when we get to that meetup. And same thing to anybody else that happens to be in the chat or watching the replay. If you happen to be popping down to the Maggard's Meetup, make sure you seek me out and say hello, and we can chat and I can get to know you a little bit better in person, which would be awesome. And if you aren't going to the Maggard's Meetup, why not? There's some tickets available. Make sure you hop on and join us there for an awesome time.
We're not a sponsor. We're just wet shavers in this hobby that like to meet other wet shavers in the hobby. So same invitation to you. If you are going to the meetup and you see me, say hello. It's it'll be fun. It'll be a good time. So also, I do want to thank the live audience. You guys, as always, have been great with your questions, comments, keeping things lively. Apologies if I didn't get to say hello. I tried to either give a shout out, if not, type in the chat itself hello, but really do appreciate you guys joining us for this live stream. For those catching the replay, appreciate you as well. Hope you found this topic interesting. Feel free to leave suggestions for future topics, as there's a lot of things to explore. It's wet shaving. People wouldn't think so, but there are So thank you guys so much. Jared, thank you again. Hope you guys have an excellent weekend. Take care now.
Take care, everybody.